Hello, good morning, happy 2024. So I have scheduled this upload to be early on the 1st of January because I'm hoping for those of you that have not had a chance to do this yet, you can maybe join in or get some motivation, I don't know, but either way, as you can see from the title, I'm setting goals, I'm reviewing the past year, and I'm going to make my vision board. I really truly believe in vision boards. You have to sort of put things out in the world in order to make them a reality, and in last year's video I did mention that I'd not done a vision board for a couple of years, and I've definitely noticed since doing it this past year, everything up on this vision board I have up here has come true. So if that ain't your sign, go and get it done. First things first, I'm going to sit and watch last year's video so I can sort of evaluate where I was at. I do have two little bits of paper that I wrote down. Me and my boyfriend started this tradition of writing down our wishes for the next year and putting them in the Christmas tree box. I can't remember who I saw do that. That means when you open the Christmas tree box at the beginning of December, you can kind of sort of see where you've come and if anything's come true. So we did that, so I have these with me, and then we're going to get vision board making and I'm going to show you. So sit down, grab yourself a cuppa, maybe a notebook and a pen. Let's go. I haven't been in my office for a little while and I've just sort of, well, we've both been using this as a dunking ground. Watching that back was actually really insightful. Something in me was like, sure, there's nothing in there that's going to be interesting, but I've actually written a lot of notes. Also got this off the wall so we can change it. The first thing, my hair. Can we talk about my hair? Why didn't I cut it sooner? I don't know. I did donate it, so I was sort of waiting to cut it, but there was a lot of hair. I also, first thing I said in the video, I didn't set goals in case I didn't achieve them. That mindset has completely shifted, which has kind of shown me how much can change in a year. I've now, through listening to podcasts, watching videos, reading books, I've learned the importance of setting goals. Even if at the deadline you set yourself, you haven't achieved them yet, you've still got to set them or you're just going to stay stagnant. And the reason I never set them before was because I was worried I wasn't going to get them, and because I'm a perfectionist and I didn't really know how to get there. But a lot of the time people don't. You just sort of have to take the first small step, even if you don't know the big picture. And like the mindset I have in that video seems so different. Another one was to decorate the house, and I've done that. The wall behind me changed, and we've also painted the bedroom, which was a big task. So that's a nice personal one. I noticed, before I go into the actual categories, I noticed they were very surface level. So later on in this video, I'm going to show you how I've done it this year. So I've already set the goals. I'm just going to talk you through them, and I've done it differently, and I've gone into them deeper. So I guess you could go about it either this way that I did last year, which obviously worked for me, or I've done it a little bit different this year coming. And I guess it depends on where your headspace is at, because last year there is no way I would have been able to go so intense as I am this year. So I don't know, follow whichever one you want. But first one, decorate the house, done. Spend more time working for myself. And the interesting part is I already knew when filming that video that I was going to be handing my notice in at that job, but I obviously couldn't say anything. I'm not going to go into it, but I think that job had that was a lot of the reason is why I was doubting myself so much and why my confidence was low and I didn't know where to sort of go with life, because a lot of things happened in that job that weren't like healthy. So I already knew at that point, and you can see the moment where I'm like, I have a full-time job and it's great. Obviously, you know, I've had a full-time job for, I don't know, like 6 or 7 months now, and it's been great. So I definitely spent more time working for myself, I worked for myself full-time. I'm very proud of myself for that. Next one was cooking together, date nights, meaningful time together. I feel like we've done this, like playing board games. We've done a little miniature DIY house. Near Christmas we made some ornaments, a lot of cute things going on there. More videos and content was a big one, and I definitely hit that. I feel like I kind of hit it wrong in a way. Not wrong, I went from uploading 0 to uploading 5 times a week pretty much on my Instagram and sort of reposting everywhere else. And in terms of volume, I did great. I think the quality was lacking, so that's what I'm going to that's what I'm going to try and tackle this year. I'm not just gonna like put stuff out for the sake of it. I'm gonna make sure the quality of it is good. And also, alongside that, I'm not gonna burn myself out. I'm gonna try not to. We can only hope. Host dinners was one. We had a few nice dinners. Travelling, again, I was very vague with these. Like, they didn't really have anything measurable in them, which is something that's very different about how I've done it this year. So we have actually travelled. We bought ourselves a tent box, which is like this. I'll explain it in a bit. So we have been doing some travelling, but we only bought that in September, so we've not done much because it got very cold. And then the final one was create more in general, work and personal, and I've definitely done that, just like crafting, building the little house, doing jigsaws, things that aren't work that are still creative, because like ultimately I'm a creative person. And I've also come to this sort of epiphany, which is very obvious now, I know it. I can't put out interesting content unless I am consuming and like taking in interesting content. Like, I can't just sit and work. I need to stop and like fill my cup, you know? And that's so obvious, and people say it all the time. But when, I don't know how you would see it, but when I'm in the mode of I need to grow, I need to do this, there's no time for all that stuff. But I've realised that is not healthy, and that is probably why for the past month I've not uploaded anything. And then I just wrote a few notes at the bottom of my notebook, just sort of like things that I observed whilst watching my past self. Not starting projects for the fear of them not being good enough. And that stuck with me right the way through till November. So if you remember me releasing the pattern workbook, I procrastinated that right from when I quit my job. So February, I quit my job. I didn't release that until November. In reality, it would have taken maybe like a month and a half to make. I made it last like 7, probably more. So that was definitely that, and that's very recent. So I need to sort of figure that out, and I'm gonna listen to podcasts, I'm gonna read books, I'm gonna sort of tackle that in my own way, but that's definitely a goal. The motto of the year was curb the perfectionism, and I definitely did that, especially with making content. I stopped spending ages filming them, I just did it and posted it. But then that sort of flipped the wrong way with the quality thing, so we need to balance that. And then loads of ideas, but not having the confidence to execute them. And I think that still applies, like I feel like that'll apply throughout my working life. But I think my mindset towards it is a lot better. Definitely fluctuates, because if you'd have asked me this like 3 weeks ago, I'd have been like, I am so bad at everything, but right now I'm in a good mindset. So I think one of the things that's very clear is that motivation isn't always there. But if I have discipline with myself, if I set these goals now and set rigid, not rigid, too rigid, because I'll fight against them. If I set myself aims and expectations now, my future self, when I am feeling a bit flat and unmotivated, can just look at them and say, look, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So yes, that is my summary. This is going to be a very rambly long video, I apologise in advance. So now I am going to show you what I've created for this year. This started off as just a note in my phone, so don't think you need to go like all in and make like a full-on thing like I have. This was my way of getting myself out of the funk, so I spent far too long on it than I probably should have, but it was helpful for me. So if you just want to write it on a note in your phone, maybe you can even get like a sticky note app for your phone. But here, this little sticky note, you can update it and put whatever you want on it. That could work too, because you're going to see that a lot. So I've used ClickUp. I talk about ClickUp a lot, probably fed up of hearing about it, but it is great. So in ClickUp, I basically created a list that I just wrote, I just word vomited. So I have split it into 5 different categories. I've got personal, finance, relationships, career and business, and health and fitness. Some of them sort of interweave, but I've tried to not overcomplicate things. Curbing that perfectionism. So personal, rather than just saying, I'm gonna read more books, I've put a number on it. So I'm gonna read 15 books. That might not seem like a lot to people, that might seem like a lot to other people. But for me, I read literally a few pages before I go to sleep, and then I fall asleep with my Kindle in my hand. So I don't read much. But this year I want to take more time, like I said, to consume content. So for example, I've got like the Diary of the CEO book on the shelf behind me and I've not touched it. I bought that with good intentions and I've not touched it. So even if it's taking 20 minutes a day to read a book that's going to educate me, or even listening to something on Audible, I'm gonna do that. I've set sort of like timers within this to remind me and like prompt me, but I'll show you that in a second. Get a new car. Now this one was kind of hard. I can't really measure this one because I don't know when I'm gonna get a new car. I'd like to get a new car this year. This is more of a manifestation one. There's nothing really I can measure in this. So we're setting measurable goals. I've set the deadline for the end of this year, but I won't be heartbroken if that's not gonna happen, so I'm kind of leaving that one as like a bit of a surface level one. Travel to new places. I first wrote this down as travel more, not helpful. Travel to 6 new places, so even if that's just a new village nearby, a new city, a new country, a new place in the local area, I've kind of left it a bit open to interpretation, but I've put a number on it so I can actually like look back and see what I've done. Finances, I've put earn over and then a certain amount. I'm gonna leave that private for now, but we'll see as we move forward throughout the year. I might share it a little bit more. Also need to think up one of my savings goal, but I'm not sure on that yet, so I've just left that for now. Relationships, I have put in a secret date night every month. So Katie Snooks does this with her boyfriend, husband now, and they plan a date for each other every month, but don't tell the other person what the plan is. I'm gonna do that. And I've set myself reminders in my calendar to do it because it's so easy for time to pass you by and then you just not do it. 14 nights of tent boxing. So again, I just put loads of tent boxing and I thought, how am I gonna define whether I've achieved that or not? So I've put a number on it. I kind of went off what my boyfriend's like annual leave amount would be. I don't know. So I've put 14 nights, not sure if it's doable. We've only ever been away in it for 1 night at a time so far because we were just sort of getting used to it. But the aim is to go for 2 nights at a time. So if you think of it like that, that's only 7 little trips away and we can go on a weekend. So I feel like that's doable. Decorate the hallway. Again, hasn't really got anything measurable on it. I've either done it or I haven't, but I've just set that goal to the end of the year. Now for career and business, I've got quite a lot in this one, which I think shows where my brain's at, I guess. So 2 Skillshare classes per month. So again, this steps into the whole, I need to consume content in order to put it out. I need to like educate myself, and ultimately I do like learning, so why don't I make time for it? I don't know, I've got my priorities all wrong. So again, I've put it in my calendar, so every 2 weeks there's going to be a notification in my calendar that's like, do a class right now, and it's going to be like, I can't ignore that, you know, it's in my calendar, I look at it every day. Sell digital products on Etsy and earn £500 per month. Now, I think this will end up getting averaged out because right now my Etsy is at like 0, so I need to work it up, but I've done £500 per month as a bit of a ballpark just so we can average it at the end of the year. I don't know. Again, rather than just writing sell products on Etsy, I wanted to put like a measurable amount on it. 6 new digital products on my website. This works out at 1 new product every other month, which I think is pretty manageable. Some of the products are going to be more simple and take less time for me to create and obviously be cheaper, and then others will be more like the pattern workbook where it takes a lot of time to go into it. So I think every other month sort of works out. And you know what? Just pausing from the goals a second, it took a lot for me to add the measurable parts to these goals because it feels daunting adding that commitment to it. Like, it's so easy to be like, I'm going to work out more, I'm going to do this more. But in reality, that's open to so much interpretation. So how do you know if you've done it or not? And for me to like, I first word vomited these down and thought, yeah, that's fine. And then I came back to it another day and thought, actually, no, how am I going to know I've done it or not without putting a number on it or putting some kind of time goal on it? So they're called SMART goals. I can't remember what is it an anagram? I can't remember what the definition is, SMART goals. And it was on a Skillshare course I took. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. I'll put this graphic on screen that I found, and you can pause this if you want to read it, but that's really interesting when you're setting your goals, so maybe keep that in mind as you're doing it. The next one is launch a podcast. This is scary. This is something I've been thinking about for a while, but it feels like a huge commitment. But I feel like I can only try it, right? Like, if I decide it's not for me, I just stop. It's not that deep. It's not a money-making thing. It's more of like pushing myself out of my comfort zone thing. I want to sort of interview people. I want to try a new platform, and I just want to do it. I was talking to Hannah about this back in July when I went to see her, and it's been in my mind ever since, so I'm gonna do it, and I think I've set the date for March. We'll see. All I have right now is a name and a list of people I want to interview. That's it. So don't ask me any questions about it for now, but watch this space. Next one is get 50,000 followers on TikTok. I'm currently at 20,000. I got those followers sort of from doing the 10k steps a day thing, mixed in with Adobe Illustrator tutorial things, but I want to switch up my TikTok content this year. I'm not going to go on about that one because that's a whole other video in itself, but TikTok's going to change for me a little bit, still working out how, but 50k is the goal, and I feel like that's achievable. Last year I actually wrote 50k on Instagram, and my Instagram is just stagnant, and I feel like it's renowned right now and very well known in the industry that everyone's Instagram has stopped. Pretty much everyone anyway, I can't talk for everyone. But I think a lot of people have noticed like very little growth, and TikTok's algorithm in general is pushing creators out to new people. So I think that's the place to be. And I've like got over the TikTok fear now, so hopefully we can do that. No, not hopefully, definitely we can do that. And then the final two are health and fitness related. The first is yoga 3 times a week. So I'm thinking these two goals might combine. So I can just do yoga in my house, right? And I really enjoyed doing it when I did. I found that doing it every single day started to feel like a chore. So I feel like if I put it at 3, that's a good measurable amount, but it's not so overwhelming that I start fighting against it. And I'm also going to get rid of the pain points that stop me from doing that. And this sounds so silly, but I'm going to buy a yoga mat for downstairs as well. So I'm going to have 2 yoga mats. So I can't be sat like, oh, I can't be bothered to get my yoga mat and use that as the excuse. I'm going to have one right there. And a yoga mat's like £10 on Amazon, so I'm sure that's fine. And then the next one is join a weekly class. I was actually looking at this last night, and there is actually a yoga place near me, so I might end up combining these two a little bit. The weekly class is for fitness, it's for socializing, it's for getting out the house. It's more than just a fitness thing. So those are my goals for this year. I might add some more. I've got a few more days till the end of the year, and this can always be evolving. They don't have to be like stuck for the next 12 months. I'm gonna be open to adding things. And what I've also done is I've categorized them in here in a list, and I've done it so I can track the progress. So for example, for every 5,000 followers on TikTok, I tick off this box. So when I get to 50k, it'll tick, and then it shows the progress here. So I've sort of divvied up each goal in that way. So hopefully that keeps me accountable. And then again, for example, with the date night every month, I've added all the months. I've put it at high priority so it shows up right at the top of my calendar, and I've put the last date of the month. So when I look at my calendar, if I find that for you, I look in my calendar, I'm saying this and it's not there, hang on. I mean, it's not working right now, but I'm gonna fix that. When I look in my calendar, it's gonna be there along with the Skillshare thing as well. That was the longest clip ever. Hopefully I've managed to cut that down. Okay, I'm gonna now go on Pinterest, find some pictures that sort of match those goals, print them out, and we're gonna make the vision board. You can make a vision board physically, like I have. I literally have this cork board that I've put paper on, or you can do a digital one, whether you set it as your phone wallpaper or your desktop wallpaper, you can do that too. I measured the size of this board and put the exact same size into Illustrator, so as I was dragging things in I could sort of visualize how big they'd be, and then I've split them up into A4 pages so that I can print them out on my A4 printer. I'm gonna go with a similar method to last year's video. I'm just gonna cut them out and then stick them with the washi tape. I'm feeling much more positive this year. I'm definitely slightly overwhelmed, like, don't get me wrong. These past few weeks I've sort of had to take a step back, like I said, and everything's been going through my mind. Like, it's so easy for me to log on to Instagram or TikTok and just see so many other people thriving and then just think, like, what am I doing? Who even am I? And I'm sure you know how that feels. To be honest, some people might even look at my profile and think that, because obviously I do try and keep it really real and authentic, but I'm not gonna post when I'm like depressed. So there's gonna be a certain element of like raw, real life things that aren't going to be shared on social media. Maybe afterwards, maybe after the fact, like I'm talking about it now, but maybe not at the time. There's almost this guilt as well, like, my life's not that bad. That was a big thing. I'm like, why am I even feeling like this? Like, I've got a house, I've got a boyfriend, I've got a car, I can feed myself. There's so many things that are right, and yet I still felt low. And then I just feel guilty about talking about it because I know I'm not in a bad position. So trust me, I'm not ungrateful for what I've got. I'm very aware of it. It's just one of those things, I guess, and I'm sure you felt it too. So take this as your little note to self that whatever you're feeling, whenever you're feeling low, you're not alone. Even though it feels like it in the moment, you're not. You can literally go on to your favourite creators, and I'm not talking about those ones on Instagram that are thriving and they're going travelling or they're posting things 5 times a day and they've got courses coming out and all that stuff. Like, I'm talking about the raw, real people who share their life. And I think there's a lot in finding people online like that. So that's the kind of person I aspire to be, and I've always aspired to be like that, to be honest. So yes, I hope you find a little bit of comfort in my content in that sense, that I'll always be real and raw. And you know what kind of leads me on into my TikTok plans. So I said a bit earlier that I want to sort of switch things up, and I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it, but the bare bones of what I'm thinking is keeping it real and raw and documenting my journey as a creative. So I found myself, when I came back working for myself, I dove straight into like brand designer. I made my prices, I created loads of templates for myself, I set myself up, did a bunch of client jobs, and I thought, this is it, this is what I wanted to do. I'd been doing a lot of design work in my office job and getting paid pennies, so to be able to do it for myself and actually get paid a decent wage was great. But in doing that for a little while, I've realised I like doing client work, and if it comes to me, I will happily do it. But I don't think it's the thing I want to do. Like, I don't think that's me. So then that leaves me in like an awkward situation, because I'm like, well, if I'm not a designer, like a brand designer, what am I? And it's tricky because I've obviously branded a lot of my content as design, and that's still a big element of like what I want it to be, but maybe not so much. I think moving forwards, I'm going to focus more on like just creative exploration. That's literally all I've written down in my phone. I've put creative exploration, keeping it raw and real. I want to look at ways of making passive income. I want to maybe look at joining websites like Fiverr and trying stuff out like that, and finding different streams of income, trying out a bunch of different things and seeing what sticks. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on coming out of uni and sort of knowing what you want to do, and I left uni a long time ago now. I left uni 6 years ago, and straight from that I went into content creation, and the aim was to save for the house. And now I have the house, I'm like, well, what's the next goal? And I think ever since then I've been a little bit stuck. Like, I can't always be striving for this next thing. I need to sit and enjoy it and like live it. So wow, I'm going on such a tangent. So that's sort of where I'm at. So in terms of TikTok, I'm not sure how it's gonna look. I'm gonna just document my journey, learning, watching things. I don't know, if I have an opinion on something, I'm gonna share it. Like, I'm gonna be just me. Like, picture me going for lunch with you and us talking about whatever we're doing, like just creative chats. That's what my TikTok is going to be. And I actually found someone really interesting on TikTok. I can't remember his name. I'll put it on screen. And he has this authenticity audit, like a TikTok self audit. So you go through your own profile, figure out what's working, figure out what isn't, etc, etc. And I've not done it yet, but how he explained it was so interesting, so I highly recommend, because I do not want or have ever found my niche. Like, if you're in this space, you'll know that people are always like, find your niche, and then you'll get your audience and you'll find your people. But I'm not just this one person. Like, I am not putting myself in a box like that. Now, he explained it as like a neurodivergent thing, like he's got ADHD. So he explained it like that. And for a while, I've noticed some like autistic/ADHD tendencies in my own way of being. So I sort of resonated with that a lot. And I'm hoping I find that interesting. He talks a lot about how he's not going to be a niche. He's not putting himself into a box, because when he does that, he rebels against it. It's just not in his nature. And I feel like that's what I've done to myself. I've like branded myself as this graphic designer, but really I'm not just that. Like I am partly that, but I also want to create digital content. I want to sell things on Etsy. I want to help people make a website. Like, I don't know, just like an array of creative things. Fingers in many pies, so to speak. I'm already thinking of how long this is going to take me to edit. But yeah, that's where I'm at. My TikTok is just going to document it raw and real. My Instagram, I've sort of started to make a little framework of what I want things to look like. So testing new softwares, like testing new updates in Illustrator. So sort of similar to what's already on there. Photo dumps, information, like that's a little bit more like professional and polished. And then YouTube is just this. YouTube is word vomiting behind the scenes, figuring it out, and then everything else on the side that is just a bonus. And it sort of like plays into what I want the podcast topic to be, which I'll talk about as we get closer, but just honest, real thoughts from creative people navigating what it is to be creative and how they define that with themselves. Does that make any sense to anyone? Probably not, but I mean, it doesn't fully make sense to me yet. So I'm going to just explore that. At the moment, I'm just sort of consuming a lot of stuff. Like I said, I've downloaded that audit, so I'll be doing that soon. And then I keep coming across like articles and things. So all of that I will be doing. And hopefully along the way I sort of managed to figure it out, and I think that's what it's all about. I think there's a lot of pressure on seemingly knowing what it is you are and what you do and who you want to attract as a customer or a client or whatever, and I just don't know, and I think that's alright. So yeah, I'm going to take these down, I'm going to stop rambling, and then I will show you the finished result. The battery on this camera is about to die. That's when you know I've been talking too much in this vlog. The board is done. Look at that. She's cute. She's full. She's vibrant. I told you the battery was gonna die. So yeah, she's done. And I'm really happy with how it looks actually. I think it's a good mixture of looking cute and still being purposeful and what I need to see. So I'm just going to quickly go through it. So we've got this is my reminder to do Skillshare classes, 2 classes a week. It's my reminder to learn. This is TikTok, so you can see the like vertical camera, podcasting, Etsy uploads, finances, earn a certain amount of money, read more, upload digital products to my website, yoga, whether that's classes or in person, camping in the tent box, new car potentially, paint the hallway, travel to new places, and couple time date nights. How cute is this? I'm so happy with it. So if you needed a sign, this is your sign to create a vision board, and I'm wishing you the best 2024 possible. Let me know your top goal for this year, whether it's a personal goal, a career goal. Just let me know one of your goals. I'd love to hear. Let's start a discussion in the comments. And thank you very much for watching this far in the video. Honestly, I'm impressed because this is a very long one. So if you did get this far, make sure you comment a goal of some sort, and then I know you got to the end. And then I know you got to the end. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon for another video. Bye.